It's through showing up over and over again, putting in those reps over and over again, that you start to build that momentum. I don't always feel inspired and motivated to record this podcast. 707 episodes later, I have months where I just feel like I'm dragging my feet to hit the record button, but it's my job. I have to do it. I have to do it whether I want to or not. And that is how I've managed to be consistent for 5.5 years. Hey, welcome back to Imperfect Action. This is episode 707. Today, I'm sharing some of the reasons why you are struggling to be consistent with your marketing and how you can fix each of these if it's one of the things that is getting in your way for being consistent with content and marketing for your business. The reason number one, the first reason why you are struggling to be consistent is that you don't have a strategy, right? Without a strategy for your content and for your marketing, you're just taking a spray and pray approach. You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something sticks. Now, a good clue that you don't have a strategy is when you're saying things like, oh, I haven't posted anything this week, so I should probably share something. Or that's a great trending audio, so I'm just going to quickly go and record a reel about that. Or I have no idea what to talk about this week. Those are all clues that you have no strategy. And it ends in inconsistency because you're really only then just showing up when you feel inspired to show up, or when you have a great idea, or when you notice that trending audio and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go and create that reel. It also looks like you running out of ideas and feeling demotivated because your content isn't actually leading to any sales. And that's because there's no strategy to link between the content that you're sharing, what you are talking about, and your sales processes, how you're moving people closer to buying from you. Now, to be completely clear, a strategy is not something that goes like post value-adding content on Monday, post inspirational content on Tuesday, post a testimonial on Wednesday, promote your offer on Thursday, and post something entertaining on Friday. That is not a strategy. That is a posting schedule, right? So a strategy begins with the overall journey. What is that journey from when someone first comes into contact with your brand through to buying from you? Where are you reaching those people? Where are you getting in front of them? That's your visibility strategy. And then what content do they need to consume from you at each step to move a little bit closer to buying? Okay. The second reason why you might be struggling to be consistent is that you don't have any structure. Structure is so important for consistency. Even if you are somebody who doesn't think they are a structure person, you prefer to just wing it. I'm one of those people. I hate structure, but I also secretly love structure because it means that I can get things done. Creativity thrives within structure. Inspiration thrives within structure. One way I create structure in this show and in my business in general is I know a podcast episode has to go out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or else. So I can't miss those. So even when I don't feel like it, I have to do it. And at the very minimum, I have 3 podcast episodes going out every week. At the very minimum, aside from any other content, there are always going to be 3 podcast episodes. And then the structure that we have built as a team around each podcast episode is that every episode now has an email that goes to the email list. Most episodes can be repurposed into carousels for Instagram, or we extract little short form snippets for Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And consistency requires this kind of structure because when you have an episode that doesn't perform as well as you would have liked, or your post that you put up doesn't get as many comments or as many likes as you thought that it would, or when you don't feel like hitting the record button, you just have to do it. And it's through showing up over and over again, putting in those reps over and over again, that you start to build that momentum. I don't always feel inspired and motivated to record this podcast. 707 episodes later, I have months where I just feel like I'm dragging my feet to hit the record button, but it's my job. I have to do it. I have to do it whether I want to or not. And that is how I've managed to be consistent for 5.5 years. So the easiest way to begin creating that structure for yourself, firstly, build a content plan. Once you've got your content strategy, turn that strategy into a plan. What are you posting and when? Turn your visibility strategy into a visibility plan. Where are you showing up? Who are you pitching? What are you doing to get visible, and when are you doing it? And then do the things. Okay, number 3, the third reason why you are struggling to stay consistent is that you don't have the right systems. And these systems don't have to be complicated. You don't have to go and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on all the fancy software, but it's going to look a little bit more than just writing, create a blog post about this topic or record this podcast episode on your to-do list. That's not a system, that's a task. And once you have your content plan and your visibility plan, you can break it down. You can plug it into a project management tool like ClickUp or Asana, and you can start documenting the processes for each step. So rather than it just being a task of write blog post, what needs to happen? Do you need to research the blog post first? Do you need to write it, edit it, etc., etc., all of the different steps. And then once you've identified what's involved in each step, then you can start to delegate it because now you have a process. Or you might start to identify areas where you can streamline it. You might look at the steps when they're written out and think, oh, maybe this could be a little bit more efficient. Or maybe we could replace this step with a piece of software, or we could bring in an AI tool to save some time. We have built this beautiful workflow for every single podcast episode inside ClickUp. And we use Descript now to make editing really easy. Anyone in the team could edit an episode with the level of detail that is in our instructions, and that is on purpose. If a team member is away or sick, then anybody else in the team could pick up those instructions and edit that podcast episode. Now, this has taken a lot of time for it to become what it has become, but once you know exactly what needs to happen to make each piece of content happen or each visibility task happen, then it's much easier to make it actually happen. And then fourth and finally, the last reason why you are struggling to be consistent with your content and your marketing is you are making it way harder than it needs to be. I've talked about this so much on this podcast, but you really need to work to your strengths and what you want to do. If you hate talking into a microphone, don't do a podcast. If you don't want to show your face on video, or you find that you are such a perfectionist when it comes to editing your video that it takes you 3 hours to create one 30-second short form video, don't do TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts. You've got to work to what you want to do and what you are good at. And adding structure, strategy, systems, that will make it all easier for sure. But you also need to be asking yourself, where am I making this harder than it needs to be? Am I taking 3 hours to edit that one blog post that I've written so that it's absolutely perfect? Because that's probably not going to be the best use of your time. That is making it harder than it needs to be. Where else am I overcomplicating it? What would this look like if it were easy? I love that question so much. What would this look like if it were easy? Do you really need to be sharing every podcast episode to YouTube as well? Probably not. Maybe you could master the art of podcasting first before you begin to add in all of those extra layers of video and short form video and transcribing it and turning it into a blog post and all of the different layers. Maybe you could start simply and just master the one thing first. Keep it simple to start with and build on it. There we have it. 4 things that are keeping you from being consistent. You don't have a strategy, you don't have structure, you don't have systems, or you are making it harder than it needs to be. That is it for today's episode. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss every new episode released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you're enjoying this show, please take 30 seconds to leave a quick rating and a review in Apple Podcasts. I read every single one of them. It means a lot to me because a lot of work goes into recording and producing this show. Thanks so much for listening. Catch you next time.